Hey guys, Alex here. And as you guys know, I did watch The Man of Steel yesterday on Thursday. It was some kind of special Walmart deal where I got to watch it at 7 p.m. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and do a quick movie review for The Man of Steel. Let's get into character, shall we? Hey guys, sorry about that. Alex had a slight wardrobe malfunction there. I'm back though. So yeah, I watched this 7 p.m. showing of Man of Steel in 2D, and I was quite happy with it. Before I go into the movie, let me jump into into a plot summary, a little basic plot summary of what the movie entails. Well, basically the movie starts off on the planet Krypton, and you know that's where Superman's from, of course. But there we meet Jor-El and his wife Lara, and there you're gonna see that Krypton is on the verge of extinction, and Jor-El is trying to argue with the council that they need to look to their past, that they need to start, you know, looking to the stars so they can start colonizing other planets the way that the Kryptonians used to do it. While he's arguing with the council, that's when General Zod comes in. He's in charge of the military. General Zod is staging a coup because he's also had enough of the government, but instead of arguing like democratically with the council, General Zod decides to use force to get his way. Suffice it to say, General Zod's coup, it fails. And by failing, the government is they're banishing General Zod and his followers into the Phantom Zone. But in being banished from Krypton, they're actually being saved because, as I said, Krypton is about to explode. So once Krypton does explode, the previous imprisonment of Zod, it just vanishes, and now General Zod and his minions are free to do what they wish. And during this time, Jor-El was able to jettison his son Cavill onto the planet Earth, and I guess they did some research on this planet because they found out that the yellow sun, which is young and invigorating, it's going to power their Kryptonian son's muscle cells or whatever, and it's going to make him a lot stronger than the human inhabitants there. So that's where they sent him, and they want him to be a beacon of hope for the inhabitants. And during this time, you see Clark Kent, Kal-El, Superman. You see him as a child. You see him going from odd job to the next odd job. And he does realize he has these special powers, and he also realizes that he's not really, you know, human, or at least he doesn't belong with those people. And so later on, General Zod, as I said, he's free. So he finds out where Superman landed, and he goes there to find this device, the Codex, that will help the last remaining Kryptonians to start like repopulating whatever planet they wish. That's the story in a nutshell. I mean, that's the basic plot line. But let me go into a review. First off, the music. As you guys remember, John Williams' famous Superman music. I don't want to hum it because I really suck at music. But let's just say it's not in this movie at all. Doing the soundtrack is Hans Zimmer, and I gotta say he did a fantastic job. Originally, I was very skeptical about watching a movie with you know, with the non-John Williams Superman soundtrack. But the music you hear in this, it's very epic. It's kind of underplayed, but you get this sense of hope and this sense of majesty and power in the soundtrack. It's hard to explain. You just listen to it online or something. It's great, and after hearing it, you're not going to miss the John Williams soundtrack too much. I mean, sure, it's still iconic, but this new soundtrack by Hans Zimmer, it's amazing. Check it out. There's a lot of big name actors in this movie. There's Lawrence Fishburne, Amy Adams, is that her name? Henry Cavill from the Tudors, who plays Superman. Then you have Kevin Costner and Russell Crowe. Then you have some other people like Diane Lane. Tons of famous people in this movie. Let's see. This movie is definitely a reboot of the Superman franchise. It has nothing to do with the previous 5 Superman movies. There was Superman 1 through 4, and then there was Superman Returns. I gotta say, this one blows them all out of the water. I know people like Christopher Reeve, but this movie is awesome. It's different. And I think in order to bring Superman to this new generation of moviegoers, they had to change the story a little bit, do something different. And what this movie does differently, it's kind of the tone of the movie, and also the feel of the movie. It feels a lot more sci-fi. Like, this movie really embraces Superman's alien roots. And the opening scene, which takes place on Krypton, it shows Krypton, and it's almost like Star Wars type. It's very sci-fi, and it's hard to explain. It's just really sci-fi in nature. Whereas in the previous Superman movies, you know he's an alien, but they don't really play up that theme too much. They just play it up as a guy who's super duper strong, who can fly and shoot laser beams from his eyes. That said, there are some very weak elements in this movie. I would say some of the acting in Superman's childhood, it is kind of weak. Some of the dialogue is kind of hokey. I mean, just like some of it, you'll recognize it when you hear it. And also, I've only seen the movie once, but the first time I watched this movie, which is the only time I watched this movie, I didn't like the way they showed his childhood. It was kind of episodic. They would show one moment in his childhood, and then they would show another moment in his childhood, and it seemed kind of disjointed. I mean, it's probably what they were going for, kind of like a comic, I suppose. I'm still going to give it another shot and see if I like it more the second time. But overall, this movie was absolutely fantastic. This is definitely my favorite movie. This is definitely my favorite superhero movie. Ooh, there's a cardinal. But yeah. I liked it way better than Avengers. Then again, I'm a hardcore Superman fan. He's my favorite superhero of all time. I might be a little biased. That said, you can still like DC movies, and you can still like Marvel movies. Like, I love the Avengers. I also love Man of Steel. I also like The Dark Knight. I like them all. Just because you like one doesn't mean you have to hate the other. You can like them all. I mean, the target demographic is still the same. It's people who like comics and superheroes, and all the nerds out there. So I think you can all appreciate that. What really made this movie soar for me is, I don't want to sound shallow, but the action scenes are amazing. Like, when Superman fights the Kryptonians, oh my gosh. This is the way you should see Superman. You should see him, like, destroying everything. Like, some people said they got tired of all the explosions and destruction. I didn't get tired of it. This is Superman. Like, when this guy fights other Kryptonians, they tear up cities, like, whole cities. Like, just fist fighting. You can feel the power and intensity in their fights. The action scenes, I would say, are flawless, and for me, that's going to give this movie, to me, like a 4.5 out of 5. I don't know, I would say almost perfect, but then again, I did say there were some weak elements in this movie. It's still my favorite comic movie of all time. Probably my favorite movie this summer. And yeah, it's great. And there's some, like, brooding moments where Superman's just kind of silent. He's just kind of contemplating. And for me, those moments are excellent. Like, they show Superman as this brooding, misunderstood hero. Kind of like I don't know, some guy who's trying to embrace his origins, but he doesn't know what his origins are. He doesn't know what his purpose is. So yeah, definitely watch this movie. Oh yeah, the costume. They did get rid of the red underwear, but it's still fantastic. The costume, like, you'll get used to it really quickly. That's all I want to say. There's not much more you can say about this movie, except that it's super awesome. What did you guys think of this movie? Who's your favorite superhero? Whether it be DC, Marvel, or whatever. Anything you want to say. And I think my neighbors are banging something on the wall outside somewhere. Whatever. I'll see you guys later. Leave your comments in the section.